We have some excited viewers today. Good morning to you, Lori. How are you?
I'm doing great. Look at watching those numbers fly. That brings great joy. So, welcome, frequent flyers, and welcome to those new to the show. So happy to have you here. It is going to be fun and exciting as always. Speaking of which, wasn't it awesome having Leo and Chris back on the show last week? That was last week, right? Am I remembering
It was,
correctly?
it was.
They are just such a great dynamic dual team, and what I love is they're experiencing it. It's happening. It's happening for them. They're going through all of it, and I saw from the audience everybody's just completely in tune. Like I said, there is going to have to be repeats and repeats because I feel like this is a story that we have to follow now.
You know what? And what's so great about it is that you feel like you're along going with them along for the journey. And so
You
it's
do, because they're
fun.
so authentic. They're telling us the good, bad, and ugly. I feel like we're watching almost a show with them.
Yes,
We're watching the entrepreneur show
that's right.
while we talk with them. But yeah, I just love them to death, and that was so much fun. We got a great lineup for April. I'm starting to announce them. I don't have everything in place because you know what? I don't know how it became April just around the corner. Go
Uh,
figure on that.
I
But
know.
speaking of great shows, we're going to get this rolling so we can get to it. So, Lauren, so glad to have you back in both picture and voice. I just got to say that. Good to have you here. So, roll it, Lauren.
Thank you, Lori. I know between technical issues and this voice situation, it has been a rough March, but I am excited to be back. March is almost over. I almost said the month was over, and it almost is, but not quite. I think it's what, April next week. So
It
here
is.
we
And I'm going
go.
to make a quick mention before you get in that. I see people are putting awesome good mornings into the chat. Make
Yep.
sure you're clicking down everyone and not just host and panel, because Lauren and I are seeing your wonderful messages and everyone may not. So make sure you got that little drop down box to everyone so everybody can see it. Okay, go ahead, Lauren. Take it
No, that's
away.
the perfect note. So good morning to you guys. My name is Lauren Simpson. I am with the SBDC. I am joined today by my fabulous, fabulous colleague, Lori Williams, and we're excited to bring the show to you guys today. So I am with the Lead Center, and the Lead Center is part of the SBDC. So the SBDC is a national program with over 1,000 locations across the country, and we offer no-cost services to local small businesses. Now, our services are at no cost to you because your tax dollars have taken care of all of our fees. Uh, Lucky for you, the Los Angeles Network, so the Los Angeles Regional Network, has a ton of centers. We have a ton of physical locations that you can actually tap into for our resources. Now, the Los Angeles Regional SBDC network serves the Los Angeles, Santa Barbara, and Ventura counties. I think, Laura, I just tried to say Los Angeles 50 times in 1 minute. So I think I succeeded in that. You can see our locations represented by the red marks on the the map in front of you. You'll see we're in Camarillo, Santa Clarita, over to Pasadena, all the way out to Laverne, which is that waymark right before you get to Ontario. We are also in Los Angeles, the South Bay area, as well as in Long Beach. Now, here's the important stuff. This is what we are able to offer to you at no cost at all. And so you're able to tap into our various resources, one of which is being able to sit one-on-one with one of our business experts. So we offer no cost business advising. That means you can tap into one of our colleagues that have various expertise. And I'm talking about anything you can think of as it relates to business. So that means if you are looking to go from being a handyman to going into construction officially, we have someone specifically for you. If you are looking to get marketing services, if you're just starting out and you want to learn how to create a business plan, we have people for you. If you are looking to get your numbers together, lucky for you, the Los Angeles Regional Network has a guru of all numbers, Miss Lori Williams, who you'll hear from today. And we also offer virtual trainings. Now, those virtual trainings are going to be comprehensive workshops that assist you in creating your business, adapting your business, or growing it. So please be sure to get in contact with us today. We'd love to work with you. If you'd rather, you can give us a call, 866-588-7232, or you can go online. So that's smallbizla.org/new client. Now, if you've reached us and you're outside of our service area, that means that you are outside of the Los Angeles, Santa Barbara, or Ventura counties. Please go to americassbdc.org/find your SBDC. Really quickly, let me stop my screen share. Oh, look at those comments in the chat. Please be sure to put all your questions into the Q&A. We want to be sure that we're reserving the chat for the party that occurs there, which means that a lot of our attendees will jump in there and comment on the content that's being handed over to you guys today. And then also you want to check the chat out for useful links. So that's going to be links to various, hey Donald, various resources that Lori has for you, as well as contact information. If you want to get in contact with Lori, I have my email listed in the chat. Or we'll have it listed in the chat for you to get in contact with her, as well as our special guest. And with that, Lori, I'm going to send it back over to you. Good morning again.
Good morning, and thank you so much. And yes, if anybody wants to reach out to me, Lauren, make sure every one of your messages gets straight to me. So no, you send it to her. Okay, so talking about my upcoming webinars, all this is going in the chat. I'm just doing a repeat on this. I always announce this. I really want to say, if you haven't taken Financial Literacy Session 2 and Session 3, give it a try. I'm seeing wonderful results from people who are going through that session. They may then ask me to help them with a one-on-one with their numbers, but they walk away understanding key things that every single entrepreneur business owner must know. Am I profitable? Am I selling at the right price? Can I afford the expenses? Do I have the correct cost structure? These are key to, another way of saying it, to you guys sleeping well at night, because you know the answer. Now, upcoming shows, I've got a whole April lineup. I'm still kind of getting the information on everybody, so I'm just going to kind of give you a quick interview so you know what's coming up. So next week, we have Empress that's coming on and talking about her products that are under Luxurious Peace. These are really cool things. They are all pure and natural, lotions, etc. She's going to get more in specifics. I only know enough to be dangerous, but she's going to talk about also why she invented these and what she learned about what ingredients are toxic to us that we may be using on our everyday life and not even aware of it. So very excited to have her on the show, because those of you who have followed me for some time, you can kind of get this glimpse that I'm real into trying to figure out the best things for the body, mind, and spirit. So I'm very excited to have Empress on. Now, Kay, and I may be saying her name wrong. We'll learn as she comes on the phone. Oh my God, I'm on a roll today on the show. She is from Stemska, and it's a catering service. And so I'm going to learn about her company as well as you guys. So like I said, I'm still gathering information on my April guest, but I at least wanted to do a shout out to tell you who's coming up at least in the next 2 weeks. Okay, this is a huge slide with a lot on. It's going into the chat. So it's going in the chat. Let me tell you the subject matter I'm discussing here. It is the $800 franchise tax fee that is required if you are incorporated, registered with the state. Remember last week we talked about registered with the state, could be an LLC, an S Corp, a C Corp, whatever, nonprofit. Sole props are not registered with the state. This is not including a sole prop. Now, what has happened is many people started an LLC last year, and they're not familiar with how this tax works. Once again, as always, I talk to you during the show on things I'm seeing repeatedly coming up during the weeks when I talk with people on confusing or things that they don't understand. This $800 franchise tax fee is one of them. So if you incorporated last year due to a COVID exemption, you did not have to pay in the $800. That $800 would have been due last year. And how it works, that when you create your LLC, it is due the 15th day of the 4th month. So if you started it in June, it'd be the 15th day of the 4th month. And that's when it was due for the year. So with that, the $800 exemption is for the $800 that is due for that time period. Now, after that, you must pay the $800 the 15th day of the fourth month, which matches up with tax day, April 15th, right? And so you're kind of paying in ahead of time of the year. So many people do not realize that they have to make a payment this time in April, which is for this year, 2024. Now, the annual tax payment is due with this voucher, but most tax preparers do the voucher for you and assist you in the payment. I have also run into people who now realize they didn't need to be an LLC. They've taken my course, they've come upon some understanding, they're not even acting within the company, so the $800 a burden. So this is something I researched and learned for someone yesterday, and they were so happy to hear this because they had just formed in January, and I explained to them, if you cancel your LLC within 1 year of organizing it, you can file a dissolution form called the short form cancellation, and that will mean that you will not have to pay the 800. So if you made a mistake, went forward, got an LLC, realize you shouldn't, and want to get out of it and avoid the 800, you can use the short form cancellation if it's less than 1 year. The link to the Franchise Tax Board's site, which has all the information you're seeing in this slide, is in the chat. And like I said, it covers so you make sure you get this payment done, because if you miss making this payment, what happens is your company is then suspended. You legally, technically can't do business, and then you have to pay the 800 plus penalties. If you want to then dissolve the corporation, you cannot dissolve it until you pay the 800 and penalties. And the longer you keep it open, the more you owe the 800. So you can see you get into kind of this loop. So you want to have a really good understanding of this law, how it works, and how you must pay and when you must pay by. Okay, that gets us into today's show, which I'm very excited about. Reggie Ward is the founder of Legacy Life Coaching. The company takes a holistic approach to help you achieve a fulfilling and balanced life. The coaching sessions are designed to help you identify and overcome limiting beliefs, develop positive habits, and create a clear roadmap to achieve your goals. Reggie, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you
hello.
doing?
I'm doing great. So
Hello.
I just want to tell you that I told everybody on the show that you are going to be inspirational, thought-provoking. By the end of our conversation, they are going to be walking on clouds. They're going to feel better about themselves, the life, everything. They're going to be singing what a wonderful world it is. So I don't have any pressure whatsoever, Reggie, but I just thought I would just arbitrarily mention that, okay?
Okay. I'm humbled by your praise. I'm humbled.
Well, when I had the conversation with you just recently, unfortunately, you don't want to have a conversation with me because I'm going to go, I want you on my show, and then you're stuck coming on my show. But I could tell that there's a whole lot to Reggie. There's a whole lot of knowledge. There's a background. In other words, you didn't pick up a book and read how to motivate people. I got the impression, now you can correct me if I'm wrong, Reggie, but I got the impression that you are also telling people your life lessons that you learned along the way.
Absolutely.
I had that impression, and you speak the most authentic truth because you're coming from, if you will, your own biography.
Yes,
And that's what I got. So let's first walk back to the professional world. Did Reggie come out of the womb and say, I'm going to be an inspirational life coach? I kind of believe not. So where would you like to begin with? Where did Reggie come from?
Well, where Reggie came from was I was raised by a single mother, and she is my greatest inspiration, and she's always told me to find a way to use my gifts and talents to go ahead and share. And to go ahead and be a positive influence and make a positive impact with my family and with my community. So it all started there at home. I was an athlete, so I received a scholarship to the University of Notre Dame, and then I just continued to mentor young people in my community. And then I just started to continue to grow. Then my family, I've been married 25 years and 4 boys, and I got 2 grandchildren. And I know that it's a awesome blessing to have people in your life that you can not only share with, but you can also inspire them to go ahead and live the best way they can.
Oh, what a beautiful story. And we're going to unpack all of that. So before we
Hmm.
get there, one of the things that I noted, so I went to your website, I'm getting ready to get the marketing, and I'm like, okay, Reggie, here, Lauren, here's the links, here's this. And I see something and it says Social Security. And I'm like, well,
Hmm.
wait a minute, what is this? So tell us about what is it that you do, were doing, are doing? Fill in the blank. Where does this Social Security come in?
Well, here's what happened. The story really started off with my mom, as I told you before. My mom she got sick, and I started to, see and start to learn more and more things about how I can help her and how I can help seniors. And I started to look to say, how could I continue to serve? So I started to say to myself, my sister and I start handling all this other information regarding her health and regarding planning for her, retirement. And so basically, what I did was I started looking at the importance of understanding the particular guidelines of Social Security so I can educate the seniors in my community. And so what I did was I went out and I found out more information. I became certified, here, in the California area about the importance of understanding, advising, and educating people on the importance of Social Security. So what I do is I actually present. I partner with people who do very similar. They do very similar, options and advice for people. And Social Security is very, very important regarding the future. So that's how I really started to get more engaged, getting more educated, and advising, our senior community, our pre-retirement community here in the Los Angeles area and beyond. My licensing, I can work with anyone throughout the country.
That's interesting because we had this other gentleman on the show twice, and he got into certified financial planning because um, I think it was his grandfather died, and his mother had all of this money and said, "You need to understand and help me to do something with this money." And he said, "I don't know." And she said, "Well, go learn." And so he went and learned to help his grandmother and then became a certified planner from that. So that
Right.
just, it rung a bell that sometimes we go down pathways because we're helping somebody in our life, and then we go, wait a minute, other people, definitely could use that as well. So I just thought that was fascinating. So Reggie, in your life progression and your trajectory of your career, I'm assuming that even in your early years, you didn't say, I'm going to be a life coach. So what other pursuits have you had during your business life that
Okay.
you were drawn to and had an attention in? What was the history of your business trajectory?
Okay. The history, started again with me being an athlete. Then I start mentoring young people. Then I start coaching. I started really getting involved with the sport aspect, but also saw that there was such a need for character development for young athletes. And so that's when I started to coach, but it started to evolve into more of a mentor life coaching component. And so as I start going through my career, I've always made time to volunteer. I've always made time to, coach, locally. I've always made time in order to serve other people, especially young people. So it evolved from, being an athlete, mentoring, and then sharing my story. By being from Long Beach, I went to one of the top, high schools in the area, but I understood the importance of education. And so that led me again to Notre Dame, mentoring, coaching. Then I had a series of different, sales positions, whether it be with communication, whether it been with selling, insurance, whether it be with selling copiers. So there was a sales process and a marketing concept that I went through for about, 15 years. But I've always had this desire to continue to help people, and everyone was always asking me about my story. And so my mother said, someday you got to put that in a book to tell people about your story. And so that's when it evolved to me writing a book. But the book had everything to do with how you stay inspired by dealing with challenges, dealing with problems. And I wrote that book and I became an author because of my mother. Because when she was very sick, I was writing and I stopped. I just was like, I'm not going to write for right now. And she said, well, baby, write the book because it'll change your life and it'll help people. And so the book is called The Power of I. So that's when I became an author. I started continuing to speak to people. So people started to ask me, could you come speak at this organization? And then someone said, Reggie, what's your fee? Well, I had no fee. I was just doing it to really, share my story and to help other people. And that's what led to me saying, okay, maybe there is something here. And that's where I started Legacy Life Coaching.
Wonderful. Okay, this is a beautiful beginning to my next thought. So, what I can see as I put this together in my mind, one of my thoughts that I'm laughing internally, I feel like, Reggie, you came to mentor and coach that if you went down any other pathway, you would have found yourself mentoring and coaching. Like that was your mission, and you were not going to leave it no matter what you did.
Right.
That's pretty
Yeah.
obvious. And it's also pretty obvious what a beautiful foundation that your mother gave you, because not only mentoring and coaching, but always looking for a way to serve. So I just thought that was such a beautiful, part that we've already talked about. What I see now is that you've had a lifetime in observing, if I can use the word observing, human communication and human behavior, if that's correct, if
Yes.
I could identify it that, to the point where you're now also understanding how to help people with communication and behavior. So as we go down there, Reggie, I want to kind of go on the side of what do you see? And we're going to work on both, but I got to believe from the time you were helping kids, the sports, even the social security, because that deals with fear and trying to understand things, to dealing with, what you're communicating with people through legacy. You're seeing certain behavior characteristics and traits among people that are stopping them from achieving whatever it is they want to achieve. I want to
Mm-hmm.
make it very open-ended, but you've got such a wide variety of experience and exposure. Give us something that you've learned, or some things, or give us some things that you've learned along the way that you're seeing consistent within people.
What I see consistent with people is self-doubt. What I see with people has a lot to do with not understanding self-identity, not understanding who they are, um, and fear. Because sometimes it's just easier to do other things. I even find myself battling that, every day to say, how do you continue to pursue your dream and pursue what you're called here to do when you got bills? like, but
Right, right.
I see the
Reality.
reality, right? So it's one of these things where, you see the self-doubt, the identity, with children. You see a lot of the kind of these soft skills that are being lost because people are on all their um, they're on their phones, they're dealing with a lot of technology. Now you have AI who will even talk for you now,
Yeah.
but I really believe that I also see the lack of communication skills, just some fundamental things about shaking a hand, looking a person in the eye, about some of the fundamental things that I was taught. And then there's one that, it's very disturbing because it's a lack of respect of authority that I see. And so I just said to myself, instead of, yes, there are a lot of these problems, but there's a lot of these challenges. We just have to say to ourselves, okay, how do we help? One, how do we help ourselves? How do we help other people? And how do we use these gifts and talents to do that? And so that's how come I said, okay, no matter what you're going through, okay, I know those things kind of bleak, but hold on, there is light at the end of the tunnel. So when I really look at it, it's we're talking about kind of these failures of self doubt, failure of self identity, failure of these communication components. So I look at failure and I just kind of break it down. And I said, let's look at failure and look at it from an inspirational standpoint. I look at the F as being fearless. Okay. Now you say, well, Reggie, how do you do that? Well, through your faith, through your family, um, through understanding that you have really a solid base of real friends. So you got to look at it differently. So the F in failure is fearless. Look at it as a challenge. Don't look at it as I failed. Look at it as an opportunity to grow. And then each one of those letters, we start talking about attitude. We start talking about the importance of having integrity and keeping your integrity and not letting that be challenged. I was talking to a friend of mine last night, and I was talking to him about the L's. The L's are really important to me. I call them my 4 L's: listen, learn, lead, and love. And he was like, "Oh, Reggie, don't turn into this guru speaker and talking about all these things." I said, "No, it's just about people to really understand, because I also taught in this kind of travel, for about 8 years. I taught, and I always told my students, before you can learn, you have to listen. And then I said, I never made a great leader that didn't listen and didn't learn. And I never made a great leader that couldn't lead. And I never made a great leader that didn't love what they did."
Yeah.
And then I said, the U just stands for just, finding a way that this particular failure situation is unique. It's for you to learn from. My sister always told me, Reggie, what's the learning, baby? There is a learning, and then, I said the R is to, no matter what, you're going to have to reset now. You've gone through this failure. You got to reset. You got to learn from it, and you got to keep your mind focused on what's the real goal. And then the last thing is, when you kind of look at it, you have to say, I have to be educated. I have to make sure I learn something from what has happened with this failure, so I can have the energy to move forward. So now all of a sudden we start looking at failure like an opportunity, as opposed to going, oh my goodness, I failed in this. I failed in my marriage. I failed with my kids, or I failed at this job. Maybe that job was closed in order for you to go somewhere else. Maybe that opportunity was closed in order for you to position yourself to move forward. So it's all about how we look at it, Lauren. Not that you're going through it, because everyone has problems. Everyone's gonna have some failures. But like you said, you've been doing your business many, many years. I'm pretty sure there have been some times where you said, you know what, I'm just gonna stop. That's when you have to keep pushing forward.
Absolutely. One of the things that a couple things you said reminded me of other things, and we're going to go down this one pathway, but I just have to say, where you talked about living fearlessly, there was a book I read a long time ago, and I had no intentions on reading it whatsoever. I accidentally purchased it on Apple. I purchased it for a road trip. It's on my playlist now. And I thought, well, it's too late. I'm going to listen to it. And it was not something I ever intended, right? And it was Dying to Be Me by Anita, and I cannot say her last name. It's an Indian name, Maj or something. But it was about her having a near-death experience. I had no intentions on reading a near-death experience. I mean, this was not the book I intended to buy, but I was like, it's there for a purpose. But at the end, what she learned on the other side is she came back, and it was live your life fearlessly. And so when you said that, I remembered how much that book had an impact on me. But speaking of live your life fearlessly, in a way, Reggie, you ready to go into a big, huge topic? So I know I'm really making it a challenge in that. But I know it, Reggie. I always tend to grab at those, right? But
Right.
when you talked about self-doubt and you talked about knowing who you are, and you correct and fill in, I personally see those as so aligned. The lack of knowing who you are creates the self-doubt. And I was one of those people who came out of the womb. First of all, I looked around and said a bad word, right? And then I turned around and said, who am I? What am I about? And even as a teenager, where, everybody was happy to say, well, this is how it is, and this is this, I was like, no, I don't get it. Why are we here? What's our purpose? I was one of those
Right.
questioning from day one. I was just that way,
Right.
right? And so who you are, I wanted to understand beyond. I wanted it to be able to touch every human being. I didn't want it to be tied into a religion. I didn't want it to be tied into a career. I didn't want to be tied in, you have to have a family and kids. I wanted to know you strip all that away, who
Hmm.
you are. And, you know, I think we are always answering that question, but I think it's the
Yes.
fundamental question that everything else is built upon. So I
Yes.
just opened the biggest can of worms on planet Earth. And then I turned around and did the nastiest thing, said, Reggie, take it from here. Okay. Look at
Okay.
big can of
I
worms. Can you take it from
okay.
here?
Yeah. Let's open the can of worms, but let's open Pandora's box, so to speak. Okay.
Exactly.
Well,
Yes.
I when I was writing the book, I called Power of I, right? And everyone automatically thought it would just be about ego, and they thought it would be about the I and me. And I said, well, you know it's about inspiration, but your purpose lies in the true value and intrinsic meaning of your name. Okay. And people looked at me and I said, yeah, we're identified by our names, because my name, for example, means mighty advisor. It means counselor. So I was identified. My name was truly identified for me when I was born. So everyone, when they talk about their self-identity and their purpose, all you have to do is look in the mirror and say, this is who I am and this is what I am, because my name identifies me. I also looked at that and said, okay, let's really kind of uncover it. And I talked about it a little bit with failure. Let's look at what I call the inspirational blueprint, because every one of us has this unique inspirational blueprint because we have a unique name that's designed to give it to us. For example, when we start talking about, let's say, Lori, let's say your name is Lori, and say, Lori, your name is, the L in your name means loving. Okay. And I have in my book, there's this inspirational alphabet that goes a little bit more into giving you an inspirational statement as well as a inspirational quality. And say your O means something that's obedience and organized, and the R means righteous and to be right minded, and the I means integrity. So now what you do is you put that together and
By
you
the way, I
say,
love that.
okay, so you know what I mean? So now all of a sudden we start getting more excited because now we have a plan, we have an inspirational blueprint. We know who we are, what we are, because we're identified by the God-given name. Our name, we will never forget it. We don't have to look in a book. We don't have to get it from someone. We just simply need to say, look in the mirror and say, good morning, Lori, you're lovely. You're organized, you're obedient, you're righteous and you have integrity. So Lori, go out and go get it. So all of a sudden you get more excited because now not only did you identify who and what you are, now you have a meaning to it. And I call that the inspirational blueprint. And every one of us has it. So yes, opens Pandora's box, but now it's focused on you as the individual. We can't answer every question, but remember, everything's uniquely connected. We have a blueprint now. We have a path to run on. We can say every morning, I would always tell my students, get up in the morning and say, you are magic. You know what I mean? Today, be magnetic. You are wonderful. You are beautifully and wonderfully made. So now all of a sudden, you have to be your own cheerleader, your own encourager when mom's not around. I've been talking about my mom a lot. I talk about her every day. I thank God for her. But my mom died, Lori, so I can't do it anymore. She had cancer and all this stuff. And I have to figure it. It was like, well, I don't have mom anymore, but she gave me all these life lessons. And she gave me an understanding of how to be kind, on how to share, on how to love, on how to be tough. It's like my mom was a single mom who worked 2 or 3 jobs at a time. She never made an excuse. She goes, you have 4 kids, go feed them. Let's
Yeah.
go do the things that you have to do.
Yep. And you know what
So
I love
that's when
about
I get excited about it.
what I love about what you did is I don't know the exact word I'm going to say in characteristics or qualities. Those are not the right words. But what I'm saying is loving and integrity. These aren't, okay, my purpose is to do this. This is what I impress in my beingness. And then my beingness can express itself in any way that it wants to within this world. It's an expression. And that's what I love about what you did, because it's hard to work with when we say, I am this or I am that. But when you
Correct.
say, my beingness is got loving, my beingness has organization, now I can go, where can I apply myself in this vast world to learn using love and organization, etc. Right? So that's what I love about it. And in that, Reggie, I sometimes, in your opinion on this, I think we as society have been pushed more towards this. We got to find our purpose in life. And until we find our purpose, and you got people that are running around to seminars looking outward for their purpose. So I think sometimes this purpose is way overinflated and disengaging and disempowering, number one. And number two, I'm going to comment on is I always have this thing where I hear the universe saying, you can do whatever you want in life, Lori, honey. I'm going to teach you the lessons that you decided to come down here and learn. You're going to learn them no matter what you're doing, whether you want to call yourself an entrepreneur and learn about compassion as an entrepreneur, or you want to go volunteer at the zoo and learn about compassion. You are going to have experiences to learn independent of what you are actually doing. So I'm combining both of those, saying that maybe we get too drawn on the purpose of being too exact and too away from the experience and learning. Your thoughts, Reggie?
Well, I just believe that all all those are connected. I believe the most important of that connection is you, because society is going to tell you what a lawyer is and what a doctor is and what they should be and how they should act and what a mother is and what a grandmother is and what a child is. At the end of the day, when you embrace who you are, and I believe we're all designed for a unique purpose, but that purpose starts inside. It's inside out. Once you start to really understand you, once you understand that it's okay to, be emotional, that it's okay to love, that it's okay to share, that it's okay to, have some challenges, and it's okay to move on, and it's okay. Like I always say, it's okay. Like I deal with things each and every day. I'm dealing with things right now as we speak. But I keep saying to myself every single day, I get up, I have a fundamental reason to live again. And I have another opportunity to look at what my purpose is. And I just look at my name, right? I just continue to look at the name that I was given, that my mom and dad, gave me. My mom was cute because she named Regina and Reggie. So sister name is Regina. My name is Reginald. So she played on the queen and king. But as you move through this life, it's all about saying, yes, I do have this unique purpose that I can use these skills and I can move forward in life. And now we're part of community. It's for us to go ahead and take those and embrace the community and embrace what we have within the community. Everyone's not going to be a doctor. Everyone's not going to be a lawyer. Everyone's not going to be a life coach. Everyone's not going to be a mom. But why not embrace that opportunity that you have? Embrace it every day. Like I don't even say take one day at a time. I say take one moment at a time, because moments create momentum. You know, you got to say to yourself, what moment are you going to create today within the time that you have? Check yourself at the end of the day. Did you help someone? Did you grow mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally? What did you do? Don't look at what everyone else does. Look at what you do. Become the best you can be, and then go out there and share it with somebody.
Yeah, I agree with you on the moment. I always say the now. Everything to me is now. I've really
Now,
worked over the years to live in that. And I had one person say something about me. They go, for Lori, there's now and not now. And so I thought, oh, I must actually be living it for someone to pick it up, because now is where we manifest. Now is where we live. Now is where we can have change. The
yeah.
past happened, the future has not yet. So in this, Reggie, we have a large audience today, and our
Mm-hmm,
audience are entrepreneurs. And in my
mm-hmm.
experience, which is a lot of years working with entrepreneurs, I'm going to make a personal statement of observation. I swear
Okay.
that entrepreneurs are the hardest on themselves than any other group of community. They are
Yes.
more fear-based, they beat themselves up more. And what I also believe in my heart, Reggie, is this group of individuals go more towards society to determine what they should be. If their company's performing well, the company should be doing this. It's got to be an overnight start. They base their being on what they believe they're supposed to be based on what they hear in the community. So I think the entrepreneurs, although they're very light and they experience a lot, they're also really hard on themselves. So what
Hmm.
can we do to talk to our entrepreneur audience and identify wherever you want to go some of these aspects that are so in commonplace with entrepreneurship?
Well, with entrepreneurship, I was speaking to a really good friend of mine. He said, "Man, entrepreneurship is hard." He
Yeah.
said it's hard because whether you have a big company or a small company, there's people that are relying on you, right? And certain things may happen that you didn't anticipate happening.
Yeah.
I believe that we have to, and I say we because I'm in the entrepreneur area, that we have to remember and always keep an eye on the big prize, right? Why you're doing exactly what you're doing. And you need to keep that in front of you all the time. Some people write their mission statement. Um, like my personal mission statement is listen, learn, lead, and love, and then leave a legacy. So it's actually 5 L's. And so everyone has different things that they can move by. So I would say to entrepreneurs, accept the fact that yes, it's hard. Okay, accept that. Meaning or recognize it. Now, once we recognize it, now let's continue to plan. You know, each and everything that we do. So we want to. I always say pray, plan, work, and play. Right. It's like looking at what that big goal is, what your goal is, what you want that to become, and then move it all the way back to the everyday steps that you need to take in order for that to happen. And then keeping in mind there's going to be obstacles, but making sure that you're focused on what's important, which is your family, which is your financial position, and in my case, which is your faith. So it's understanding where those lie, how they're consistent with your goals and objectives, and always keep them in front of you and remind yourself that you have value no matter what. Even if things aren't, you may not get the client that you want. You may have the client, oh, they're right there, they're going to sign. Then all of a sudden, the person you're in contact with or the company folds, and then you have to start over. Those things happen. No, you're not alone. So yes, you know, um, was in church, and we use this kind of like component called wise. Read the word. Now once you that have integrity, then what's in that, now you start to say to yourself, stay in a sense of peace or shalom or calm. And then lastly, make sure you continue to go ahead and entertain and listen to people that are experts so they can continue to move you forward. um, get a business coach, get a life coach, get someone that can keep you focused. Don't be alone. Isolation is not good. Okay. Isolation is not good. So, to go ahead and put a summation on it is like really look at that end goal all the time. Understand you do have a purpose, understand you do have value, and then always understand that you can go ahead and reach out to, family, friends, or people that are experts in your position to go ahead and assist you to continue to move forward in your dream.
With entrepreneurship, it is a wonderful learning experience. And we had a guest last week. They've been on the show before. And one of them, Chris, was talking about how when he worked for big corporations, he didn't have a lot of the experiences that he's now having as an entrepreneurship because he was just siloed into doing certain things. So at
Mhm.
one side of the coin, he's having all these experiences, but the other side of the coin, he's having all these experiences, right? He's having to
Right.
do things, right? And so what I always see, not when I was younger, but looking back on it, is I see a couple things with entrepreneurship that one, you do have to learn, you're always learning, but in that learning, I think that if you look at entrepreneurship, there's not too many other opportunities in business where you can have so many rich experiences. And so in this, Reggie, I wanted to chat a little bit. I think that we as people, and especially entrepreneurs, sometimes we fail to value and love and see the richness in the experience. Okay, we just failed
Mm-hmm.
on something, but look, we got to play and we experienced. I mean, I think about a little kid that tries to walk, falls down on the butt and goes, and then as adults, we fall down on the butt and go, oh my God, I'm ashamed on this. I mean, I think we got to that we got to fall on our butt and go, oh, how cool is that? So I want to talk
Mm-hmm.
about the experiences and the
Mm-hmm.
experience of being an entrepreneur and learning, because I think overarching, you're talking about that as well. Why, Reggie, are we so afraid of the experiences when they're not the way we want them to be?
Because we have a natural sense of, failure. Like no one wants to fail. Like no matter
Why?
who and what we are, no one wants to fail.
I
Like at the
why?
like the end of the day, like no one wants to fail. Like when you start thinking about how and what we do, and well, something just happened to my technical side. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're still here though. You're still here.
I'm still
We're
here.
hearing you.
I
You're
think my
fine. You're fine.
I think my battery is about to like plug. Okay. Well, look. Well, if it
Oh,
plugs out, I'll come back. Um,
okay.
Here's the thing. It's failure. Okay. No one wants to fail. That's why we're afraid.
Yeah.
Failure limits. It's either going to limit you or propel you. It's not. You're not just going to stay the same. Okay. It's sort of like the more you fail. Sort of look at a bow and arrow. You pull it back. The more and more you fail, the further and further you fail, the more experience you have. Eventually, that's going to tighten up, and then it's
Bring
going to
on.
propel out. It's going to propel out. You just got to be strong enough and have the will to continue to do it every day. You know what I mean? Every moment. You may be in a store, you may see someone, and you may say, you know what, that person might need a life coach. How do I talk to them? Right? Well, I keep it real simple. I just say hello. I say hello. And then, I said, hey, I see that, you're not smiling today. And we should be so grateful that we have the opportunity to be here. And you know what? Continue to have a smile on your face. And if there's anything that you can remember, you have value. So I might give them a card, I might give them inspirational piece, or I might say, hey, look up this book called The Power of I. It may be able to help you. And then I move on. And so sometimes it's just a kind word is a reminder of people. There's kindness in people. It's just a kind word sometimes. Just be willing to be bold, be courageous, and then go out and be excellent.
You know what? One thing you said about, when you talk to the kids, and you were saying, say you're magical, say you're magnetic. So, I want to go back to that. I am a firm believer in what you say is what you become and what you feel. And, I
Yes,
wake up in the morning and
yes.
I have my own, a lot of times I wake up in the morning and I say to my cat, well, I'm breathing and you're breathing. So let's figure out what cool things we can do today. And recently I've been
Exactly.
doing this really weird thing. I've been getting up and I go like this. I go, oh my God, I'm still in a body. What can I do? How exciting to be in a body. And I go back to being excited just to be in a body, and it changes the dynamics. So with an entrepreneur, I think that, and I want some comments on that. As we know, it's hard. We talked about that, and we got the fear of failure. Perhaps
Mhm.
maybe we invest a few minutes even every day into just having something to give us some kind of self-love and a foundation, and whether that's an
Mhm.
affirmation or what. But you see where I'm going. If you were to
Yeah.
say, if you were to say something you can say to all the entrepreneurs on the channel is, here, if you look at this or engage in this activity or something, this is going to help you and give you more inspiration every day. What would you suggest to them?
Well, I would suggest that first of all, they just take a deep breath.
Oh, I love it.
Sometimes we forget. Just take a deep breath, and then remind yourself, that um, I have value. Just breathe. I have value. You know, um, I have another day in order to, take. take what some people may think is ordinary to be extraordinary, you know, to have your value and understand. So breathe, say you have value, and and to remind yourself that all of the good things that have happened, you may take one of those things. You know, you may be a great dad. I'm a great dad. You may say, hey, I'm a great friend. You may say, you know what, I'm a great steward. You may say, you know, I'm a great servant. Whatever that is, find whatever that is. Always say, start with your name. Like I put down in my book that the R in Reginald stands for righteous. I said, just be the right kind of dude every day, Reg. Be a good friend, be a good husband, be a good father. Just be a right dude. And when you come across somebody that may not, you know, say hello or may treat you in a certain way, just be like, okay, I did my part. I said hello. So that's what I remind myself about. You know, so breathe, say you have value, and find that one word that can move you, that can move you to say, hey, I continue to be excellent.
And I love the word breathe. And you know, here's where I'm going to go next. And I don't know, I'm speaking for myself, but maybe you guys in the audience can tell me in the chat if you can relate to this. I have been thinking lately, and I've just been observing. I feel, and like I said, this is me. Some you guys can tell me if you can relate. I feel like given the hardness that we've gone through in the last 3, 4 years with the pandemic, I think we have, as I feel it in myself and I feel it in others, we lost a little bit of that excitement we used to have just to be alive, that wonderment. We're still feeling some heaviness from everything that we went through. We've lost that just waking up and childlike excitement and wonder with what we can do. And I think we all
Yeah.
got back to that. Do you notice that, Reggie? And any words on that? Up, Reggie's doing a walk somewhere. He's going to
Yes,
plug
take life too
his
serious.
battery. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I gotta go find my battery's about to fall
No
off. So
worries. And we only got about 10
no,
minutes, so
but
you're doing well. And so you're seeing Reggie dealing with something that's not
it's
perfect and how calmly he's dealing with it. So you're giving us a living example of how to be flexible in the midst of
right.
anything. So while you're
Well,
doing that,
you know,
oh, go. You're good?
no,
Okay, go ahead.
we're gonna be all right. We're gonna get this all together. So it's not a problem. You know, but
Yeah,
what I wanted to
problem.
say was don't take life too serious. You know what I mean? It's because,
Yeah.
you know, we look at the pressure, right? You know, it's pressure to take care of family, and it's pressure at times at work, or it's pressure at times of starting a new business. But it's how we look at pressure, right?
Right.
It's how we look at it. And I keep saying to myself, I'm inspired by pressure,
Mm,
because
I'm inspired by pressure. I like that.
yeah,
Lauren, throw that up in the chat.
because when you have pressure, it's puts you in the position to perform. You know, I'm a huge, you know, football fan, and I follow it, and I follow a guy. His name was Peyton Manning, and they asked him this question in a an actual interview. They said, Peyton, how do you deal with the pressure? He goes, it's not pressure if you're prepared. So I had to really kind of embrace that. I was like, wow. So what does that mean? That means sometimes staying up at night, when you're tired, and to prepare for a call, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's making sure that, you know, your family is okay. Sometimes it's doing the hard things when you don't want to do them. And I'm glad I played sports because that's what it taught me. I'm glad I had a mother that worked the way she did, because she showed me, you know, that tough times don't last. Tough people do. I'm pretty sure many people said that, but my mom wrote it on a card and she gave it to me, you know, and she always said, you know what, baby, just pray, and but God like action, so make sure you go do something, because you're not just gonna get prayers answered if you don't go do something, right? Because you need to take action, and so I just believe that, you know, many entrepreneurs, they look at that failure, they look at the pressure, and then they're like, why? I'll just go back and get another job, or I'll go ahead, I'll stop my dream. But you know what? No, like dream big, you know. And I keep saying that. I have to say that to myself throughout the day. Like, it's not just say it in the morning and throughout the day. You have to remind yourself. And sometimes, you know, you sit down, like I scratch my head and go, man, when is this going to change? Well, change your mindset. And I believe that inspiration will let you do that. And inspiration, look in the mirror and say, what do you want it to be today? What do you want it to be, Lori? What do you want it to be, Lauren? What do you want it to be, Reggie? What do you want it to be? And do what you have to do to get it there. And if you can't, go have enough humility, okay, to go ask somebody.
Yeah.
Don't let your pride get in the way, because, you know, entrepreneurs, we're prideful people. We're very open. We're very gregarious. You know, we go-getters. We're dreamers. We don't always want to listen to people. We want to do it ourselves. So I believe that it comes from pressure, but it's how we look at pressure.
Well, and you know, I
It's how
think pressure is one of the greatest gifts in life, because it's that pressure that causes us to act. And then when we've done something, we look back and our excitement comes in because we just accomplished something and we're just so jazzed about what we did. And then we feel so good. I mean, for years and years, up to not long ago, I was a very risk taking to other people, but a rock climber. I didn't see it as risk, right? But I would do
Mhm.
these climbs that if I fell during that time period, I didn't have any gear in, and so I was going to die. And that was pressure, you know, that was pressure. But right then I was so focused that it was a beautiful moment. And then the feelings that you get flooded with on the other side. And as entrepreneurs, it's the same thing. When we go and we get that client and we get this new thing or we create this new widget, the feeling that floods us afterwards, even if we failed, we know we did something new and unique. That's the gift. And so the pressure is such a wonderful thing on that. So, Reggie, we got a few minutes left. I want to make sure we talk about you and legacy coaching. How do you work with clients? What do you offer? What, you know, how do people, we got your information and Lauren's putting
Okay.
that. Give us some, you know, how you work with people so our audience can see if they wanted to work with you. What's it like? What is it set up? Anything you can tell us about that?
Well, you know what? I try to, you know, as you noticed, I put things in this kind of like unique, you know, system of either letters or sayings and so on. So what I always do is always say, I use what I call the PCCP system, keeping it really simple. First thing I do is I say, look, um, do you need assistance with, you know, presenting, you know, keynote speaking, where I really try to help people communicate with that piece, or if someone needs a keynote speaker. And then I do coaching. So I use my book and I have a curriculum that I have for professionals, for student athletes, as well as students, that has this unique 12 lessons in order to help, you know, with having an extension of Coach Reggie with you all the time. But really, it's to help uncover, you know, that self identity. I'm just the vehicle. I just put it down on paper, and it's up to you to make it live. But I just provide those components, and then I say, well, is it that you need business consulting? Because, you know, I help businesses with, you know, Social Security. I help businesses, and I you know, I marry businesses to really understand, you know, tax strategies and, you know, employee benefits. I partner with the right people in order to provide those particular options for people. And then lastly, I just want to partner with the right people that are like-minded, who have the same type of, you know, goals and objectives that I have, with integrity. That's really going to focus on the importance of adding value to their communities, to their families, and, you know, to their churches. Like, I want to work with people like that. There are 8 billion people in this world, so I figure I figure that I need to just find some of them, right? I don't need
Yep,
them all.
exactly. Yep,
Just need
just
some of them.
disappear. Well, you know, in Reggie and meeting you and speaking with you, some of the things that come through is that obviously you've got this lovingness to you that is just expressed in so many ways you can feel it. And then what you have is you have this simplification about things, right? And so many people, especially entrepreneurs, got so much going in your head. You've got this way of organizing the information and simplifying it so you can get your hands around it and then start acting on it. And you create, and you take things and you organize them and you simplify them. It creates a calmness within the other person's body too, because all of a sudden all the stuff that's spinning around in their head is organized in a way that they can get their hands around it to act. And so that's what I see is this feeling of calmness and a organized action plan due to the way you use the letters and you use acronyms and you create such simplicity out of it. But speaking of acronyms, we have somebody in the Q&A and they want to go back to that list with the L's. Can you repeat the L list so Lauren can capture that in the chat?
Yes. Listen, learn, lead, and love.
There you go. Thank you. And we have somebody that asked on changing perspectives. Let's comment we only got a minute here, but let's comment on changing perspectives.
Changing perspectives?
Yep. If somebody wants to change a perspective that they have, I'm assuming that's what anonymous means. She says, any suggestions on just general. So if someone's perspective is here and you want them to go over here, I always say it has to do with what you're saying to yourself, your thoughts and your internal saying. Is there anything that you would add on changing?
Well, changing perspective is about changing patterns, right? So, if you want to change a pattern, we have to change how we think. Then we have to change how we think, what we think, when we think, where we think. So it's all about looking at what I call those 5 W's. And then once we answer those questions, now we can go ahead and start moving forward with understanding where we want to go. So who, what, when, where, why. Okay. Like, and now, because now you're going to change the way you're thinking. Like if you want to think positive, you go, well, why do I want to think positive? Where do I want to think positive? What is positivity? What is inspiration? What, like you have to start asking yourself questions and then journal them, write them down. Like I have a gratitude book. Like I write down what I'm gracious for. I write down whatever it is. I write down like I'm happy for today. I'm happy for the opportunity to be here to speak to Lori and Lauren and all of the people throughout the country. Like I'm gracious for it. I appreciate it. So I say thank you. And I just keep saying, let me continue to do the things that I've been taught to do growing up. I don't think anyone is on this call that never was taught to say thank you, be respectful, listen, learn, baby, love, baby. I just put them in this form to say, hey, I always say, I just was bold enough and courageous enough to go ahead and put it in writing and talk about it.
And you know what? We can never underestimate the power of gratitude. I've learned that over the years. Well, Reggie, thank you so much for coming on. The chat is loving. Absolutely. I'm going to get Lauren back on to sign us off here. But what a fantastic discussion that is not spoken about enough in a business setting. And so I plan on bringing more and more of these type of conversations because I think they're just so important. Lauren, wasn't that a wonderful conversation?
It was so good. And Reggie, I played collegiate sports as well, so basketball. And your comment about how that kind of translates into mindset and how you deal in as an entrepreneur as well as just in business in general, I think is something you don't always make the connection with, right? And so I loved it all. I think it was so good. And you're from Long Beach as well as I'm. So
hey,
I'm
partial. Do lunch, right? We got to do lunch or coffee or take a walk, right?
There you go.
So good.
Yep. So I want to thank you, Reggie. I want to thank all the guests, the frequent flyers. Remember, business is hard, business is tough, but we signed up for that because we know we got it in us. We want the experiences, we want the pressure so we can experience on the other side. So just the opportunity to get up every day and face all those dilemmas and have these experiences is a gift to be grateful for. How's that?
Absolutely. Be powerful in it, right? There you go.
Check out Reggie. You've got his information. I'm assuming that also links to your book. Check out Power of I, Power I. So thank you so much, Reggie, for sharing all this great wisdom and inspiration on the show. And to those that are here today, thank you so much. And we'll see you next week for another great episode of Small Biz Talk with your host, Lori Williams. Lauren, like always, will stay behind and gather any information or get any contacts you need. So you've got everything you need to get in touch with Reggie, get in touch with me, get in touch with the SBDC. Bye, everybody. I'll see you next week.
Bye, Lori. Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much. Bye, Reggie.
Peace and
Thank you
love.
so
Bye-bye.
much.
You're welcome.
All right, everyone, go ahead and take a look in that chat. You will see that I have Reggie's contact information as well as all of his social media. If you'd like to get in contact with him, please be sure to reach out to him. You were just on the show, so you guys know how amazing he is. If you'd like to get in contact with Lori, I have her information in the chat as well. Any questions, anything you might be struggling with as it relates to your business, go ahead and shoot us a note. So Robert says, Reggie was great. One of the best talks I've seen. That's such great feedback. Thank you, guys.
That's awesome.
Reggie, go ahead and scroll through
Thank
the chat.
you. I'm like going, what? I know. I
It's
don't know
so
what's
good.
I told you I'm still trying to get. I told you I'm still trying to get it all together. My thing is scrolling. I can't even touch anything.
Listen, you got it. Get in that chat and scroll through, guys.
I'm trying to get. I'm trying to get in it right now. Send it to me. How do I get to? My stuff is like, oh my goodness. Tell everybody, thank you very much. God bless you. Have a wonderful Easter. Say all that. Reggie's trying to get in, but please send that out to everyone for me because I don't know why I can't get in there now.
Do not worry about it, Reggie. I'll shoot you an email and you'll get it all. Guys, go ahead and put all the love in there.
Like I can hear you, Lauren, so I can hear you, but I can't.
Okay.
Everything else is just a blur.
You'll have to read the transcript then, and I'll make sure you get it.
Hey, where did you play basketball?
Oh, I played, and everyone's gonna hear this. So I played, I went to Wilson, graduated there.
Oh, yeah, I went to Poly. Okay, it's like that. I thought we left that alone. See?
Oh no. Yep, I saw it on your bio. But yeah, I played at a JUCO in Alabama, and then I played intramurals at a HBCU in New Orleans. So
nice.
Yeah. Fun times for sure.
Good friend of mine's out there, in that beautiful place. The other place, that's a different place in New Orleans.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
They eat different, talk different.
That's right. All right, Reggie. All right, audience. We will see you guys next week. Thank you so much, Reggie. Have a great day. And we'll have you back on very soon.
You know what? I'll be in touch. I'll reach out to the local office so I can get in touch with you.
Sounds good. Awesome. Thanks, Reggie. Bye-bye. All right, guys. See you later. Oh, Aldo, I see your note. The recording of this video will be posted onto our YouTube channel this week. I'll make sure it goes up no later than Friday. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Reggie.
Bye-bye.